So, did you know that if you learn to talk better, you will do better? In fact, the fastest, best, and most thorough way to level up your life is level up your ability to communicate. The quality of your life is always going to be in direct correlation to the quality of your communication.
Hello, I'm Tracy, and I'm always being asked, what are the habits of successful people? What is it that successful people do habitually every single day that leads to them being in the top 20% of money earners in our society? Well, Aristotle said that 95% of everything you do is the result of habit. So the rule is form good habits and make them your masters, rather than allowing bad habits to form.
Now, when I talk about communication, you just think I'm talking about talking to people, right? That's the first thing that comes to your mind, talking to people. That's only one aspect of communication. See, we have internal communication, the things I say to myself. We have external communication, and our external communication has two directions. There's our vertical external communication, that communication between us and God, and then there's our horizontal external communication, our communication between us and others, and most recently, our external communication between us and technology.
In fact, the other rule says this, is that good habits are hard to form, but easy to live with. Bad habits are easy to form, but hard to live with. And one of the turning points in my life and my studies of psychology was the discovery that all habits are learned and can be unlearned. Actually, you don't actually unlearn a habit. You simply replace a bad habit with a good habit that has more power and impact.
Or I should say, more impactfully recently, our external communication between us and technology. And I remember back in the 80s when I went to visit this church in Texas, and I heard the pastor speak, and I thought, I don't know if I thought any of these words, but I remember feeling like, why is this so painful for me?
And how do you develop a good habit? You develop a habit by repetition. Almost everything you do from the time you get up in the morning is habit. So start to think about yourself as what would be the best habits to have. Now, I have written a book called $1 Million Habits. It has 12 chapters, 12 critical areas of life. And in each chapter, there's 20 or 30 habits. So let me give you some of the best. Number one, develop the habit of daily goal setting and goal orientation.
It seems like the people who have the least to say take the longest not to say it. And one of the things I noticed about this particular preacher was his most prolific description of everything was the word thing. Well, you got to do that thing. Make sure. And I was like, surely you can find another word. But apparently, he couldn't.
What does this mean? It means when you go to sleep at night, think about your goals for the coming day. Make a list for each day of all the goals, the little goals you're going to accomplish that day. Keep a journal and write down your goals on a regular basis. When you're driving through the day, think about your goals. When you're talking to other people, think about your goals. You see, you do become what you think about most of the time. You do achieve what you think about most of the time.
And when I think about people, I had a conversation with a gentleman the other day, and I noticed that he mumbled a lot. I thought, this is really a fascinating way to communicate. It's kind of like, mumbling is kind of like non-committed verbal expression.
So all successful people and all wealthy people think about their goals most of the time. Second of all, be results-oriented. Now, results-oriented people are always thinking of the most important things that they can do right now to achieve their most important results. Successful people make a list of everything they have to do, and before they start working, they set priorities on the list. Here's a great way to become result-oriented. Actually, it's life-changing.
Like, I don't want to say this too clearly. I don't want to enunciate and pronunciate these words too clearly, because then I might have to take responsibility for them. I don't really know what was going on, but I was like, why does this guy keep mumbling? It's so fascinating. And then you hear some people communicate, and some are clearly intelligent, others clearly not so much. And
ask yourself, once you have your list for the day, if I could only do one thing on this list before I was called out of town for a month, what one activity would I want to be sure to get completed? And put a circle around that and start on that activity immediately, first thing. And then discipline yourself to work nonstop until you complete that one activity. This simple technique has taken people from rags to riches all over the world for at least 100 years.
They use a lot of profanity. And I'm like, this is fascinating. It's fascinating to me that you use non-adjectives to attempt to describe what you mean, and you think you're emphasizing something, but what you're really emphasizing is a lack of clarity. Because the words that you're using are not describing anything that you're talking about when you use profanity. Like it's an expletive, but it's not an explanation.
Pick your most important task and start on it immediately, and then discipline yourself to stay with it until it's complete. Another habit that you can establish is to become people-oriented. Recognize that everything that you achieve in life is going to be with the help or support or cooperation of other people. So always think, what is it that other people want and need from me? How can I help other people so they'll want to help me back? If you're in sales, top salespeople think about their customers all the time.
And it's an expletive, but it's not an exclamation. It's just an expletive. It's a demonstration of verbal laziness. I know there are people who disagree with me, but they would only disagree with me because they do it. They wouldn't disagree with me because they thought about it. Because if they thought about it, they wouldn't do it.
They think about who their customers are and what their customers want and how they can help them the most and how they can help them even more today. In their relationships, successful people are very focused on the most important people in their worlds, both personal and in business. Another habit you can have is to stay health-oriented. Think about your health most of the time. Think about eating less food and better food. Think about daily exercise. Think about getting lots of rest. Remember, to be successful in our competitive world, you need a lot of energy. To have a lot of energy, you've got to eat good foods, get lots of rest, and exercise all the time.
If anybody who uses profanity thought about the negative effects of profanity, they wouldn't use it. In fact, anybody who uses negative words on rinse and repeat of any kind, not just profanity, if they understood the negative impact on their life, they wouldn't use them. Like even words like try and maybe. And I know people think, well, try's not that bad. Really? Every time somebody says, well, this is what I'm trying to do, I have like this visceral physical reaction, and I do everything inside of myself to resist showing it on the outside. I pull up all of my internal resources to not have a reaction to the word try.
One of the most important habits is that of character and honesty, is always tell the truth no matter what the price. And the final characteristic, the final habit, is that of self-discipline. And I have written and spoken upon this for years and years and years, but self-discipline seems to be the foundation habit that makes everything else possible. And the best definition of self-discipline is that self-discipline is the ability to make yourself do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. You see, anybody can do it if they feel like it. It's when you don't feel like it and you do it anyway that you eventually develop the self-discipline that makes everything else possible.
Because there's no such thing what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm doing it or I'm not doing it. Now, when I do it, it might do what I expected it to do. And it might not do what I expected it to do, but I didn't try to do it. I did it.